This is Lord Beerus, and unless you want your planet destroyed, subscribe to Geekdom 101. It's even better than pudding.
So we've got a potentially massive update in the world of Dragon Ball and where the world of Dragon Ball is headed anime-wise in the future. So I always say this, make sure that when it comes to this video, you watch it all the way to the end so that you have a complete understanding of what's going on, because I already know there's going to be websites and Facebook pages and Instagram pages that get it wrong or that misinterpret the information. So make sure you watch it all the way to the end, because that way you'll have full clarity about what's going on here, okay? This is massive, massive news. So if you are a viewer of my channel and you've been loyally watching everything for the past couple years, you'll remember a video I did called Why Dragon Ball Daima, Where's Dragon Ball Super? And that was an in-depth behind the scenes video where I discussed that Dragon Ball Super, people like Akio wanted Dragon Ball Super to continue going all the way back to 2019, going all the way back then. But what happened was Fuji TV did not want to turn Dragon Ball Super into a seasonal anime, and because of that, there wasn't enough at the time content in the manga to adapt. If you remember, in 2018, 2019, the MORO arc had just started. So there wasn't enough new content to adapt into a Dragon Ball Super anime, because during the end of the first anime run, Toyotaro was able to catch up with the TOP and then finally, start MORO. And so because of that, Fuji TV said no, because when it comes to the Toei properties, they don't want seasonal. They want ongoing anime, meaning stuff that doesn't take seasonal breaks. Now, I know that in America, we're used to stuff being seasons, and a lot of other anime shows have seasons. In fact, most of them do now. Cores is what also they're referred to as. Cores are like 13 episode chunks, right? But Dragon Ball has never been on that schedule. Dragon Ball, going back to the original 86 show through Z and GT, ran every Wednesday at 7 p.m. on Fuji TV. And the only breaks it took was like special holidays and things like that. But it was ongoing. There were no seasonal breaks. And that was the big reason as to why, long form Dragon Ball shows have always been like that, and that's how Fuji TV preferred it. Well, here comes Daima. And Daima was only 20 episodes, and they put it on the Friday night time slot, which is Friday in the morning for us on this side of the world, but it was Friday night for them. So that's where we stood, because Daima changed everything. Daima allowed them to do more like chunks of episodes as opposed to having it running every single week for a year. Well, guess what? Things are changing. And even though this is going to relate to the future of Dragon Ball big time. So breaking news from Toei Animation. So One Piece is taking another 3-month break in January and coming back in April. And with the Elbaf arc, right? Now, they continue to say, beginning in 2026, the anime series will also kick off its new production schedule, dividing into 2 parts for a maximum of 26 episodes per year, in order to dive even deeper into the heart of the One Piece world, incorporating more content, tempo, and pacing of the original manga. So that means that One Piece is now becoming a seasonal anime. It is now a seasonal anime. This is massive news, because One Piece was basically Toei's big shonen king alongside Dragon Ball. And One Piece used to run every single week, non-stop, just like Dragon Ball did. Now that's changing. And that's changing because, and it's going to relate back to Dragon Ball Super in a minute. It's changing because now you're going to have better animators, better production schedule. You're going to have an actual break for the voice actors and for the animators to the production. And therefore, it'll allow the series to improve in quality and production quality, because you want it to look good. You don't want it to be a disaster. And even though I've never seen One Piece, I've never actually watched the show. People have sent me like some animation scenes that don't look too good, right? And Dragon Ball's had similar problems. Well, this is huge because now that Fuji TV and Toei are more comfortable doing seasonal anime, that means that there's no better time like the present to announce the return of Dragon Ball Super or something Dragon Ball related that can be seasonal. Can you imagine if 26 weeks out of the year you got a new One Piece episode and the other 26 you got Dragon Ball? Like, people who are fans of both are going to be eating good. And now that's not only is that possible, but that's actually likely. I've talked about this on multiple streams, and I'm going to be doing another stream later this week. Probably tomorrow we're going to be discussing this in even more detail live, and I'll be bringing some of you on. We're going to do a call-in show, at least that's the plan right now, to bring some of you on to talk about it. So it's going to be a good time. Once again, let me kind of break this down a bit more. If Dragon Ball goes to being seasonal, finally, after all these years, the MORO arc could be 1 or even 2 seasons, like 2 26-episode chunks. That will allow the manga, the Dragon Ball Super manga, because it's monthly, to actually develop its story arcs and move on to the next thing and continue going, right? While the anime is adapting the stuff from a couple years ago, just like any other series. But with the series taking a break, it'll let the manga go even further. I was going to say further beyond, but you know, that's a Dragon Ball phrase. It'll allow it to go even further to, you know, like basically get so that the anime doesn't catch up, so that we don't have the same problem that Super had before, where we're waiting for the development of a new arc. They can just get right into it. And that's big for One Piece fans. I know a lot of them are very happy about this. And for Dragon Ball fans, it's going to be good for us as well, because 26 episodes a year, or even if it's 13, even if it's somewhere like 20, like Daima, that'll give everybody a chance to take a break when it's not on. The animators, the voice actors, the production staff can work on something else. You won't have as many animation issues. And even the content creators like myself can cover the show for the 6 months it's on, and then the other 6 months we can speculate and do evergreen content and do other series. And that is exciting, because that's actually the best schedule, I think, for me. But wait, there's more. Something else that I've been keeping an eye on is the fact that this Dragon Ball announcement that I covered a few videos ago about the upcoming 40th anniversary event in January. I did a video about that a few days ago. You can check that out. I'll leave it up here in just a minute if you haven't seen that video, because this is potentially this is going to be a big event. It's Nasawa's going to be there, Akio and Kageyama. So I've been told it's supposed to be like a new beginning. That's the phrasing that was told to me. So let's see what that is. It could be a new beginning for Super. It could be another project, a movie. There's all kinds of rumors about it, and I covered it in that other video. So check that video out. But this is what I wanted to show you in this video, right? It's being retweeted by, this is Yuya Takahashi, who this is. A lot of the Dragon Ball animators have been promoting this. Now, that's not really a big story, because they oftentimes will co-promote with Toei, with Shueisha. That's not really a big story, but I've noticed animators have been pushing this. And because Akio is at this event, it's going to be more anime and video game related. And because that's what Capsule Corp Tokyo, his new company, is going to be focused on. We're going to get the announcement of a new Dragon Ball game, which again, I covered that in the other video, and 2 new projects. 2 new Dragon Ball projects, not video game related. That's going to be exciting. January 25th, 2026. So if the announcement is seasonal Dragon Ball Super anime. That's the best news that we could have for everyone who wants to see MORO, because you'll get it in better animation, probably closer to what Daima gave us, with better pacing too, probably a lot less filler, and maybe a lot less changes to the overall story in comparison to how Super was, where you had the anime and the manga having some pretty drastic changes when that was on. So anyways, on your screen right now are the other videos that you need to watch, including the one covering the Akio story from a couple years ago and how it's changed now. So things are moving in the world of Dragon Ball. Keep it locked in here for all the upcoming news, and I'll be streaming real soon, all right, about all this. So join me there. Take care. Have a good one. See you then.